Welcome to the exciting month of nostalgia, where we are going to release our top 4 favorite cartoon characters we'd love to hang out with.
Get ready to be transported into the animated world, where we'll explore the most delightful and adventurous companions.
From mischievous troublemakers to loyal sidekicks, we've curated a list that describes our personalities best.
So grab your favorite bowl of cereal, subscribe to our channel, and drop your favorite cartoon characters in the comments below. Why? Because the Rushmore Show starts right now.
Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more. What a great month it has been, but it is time to move on into August. And if you are here, you know what we did last August, and you're probably having a little nostalgic feeling because it's nostalgia month and it's back to school.
Oh, back to school, to prove to Dad that I'm not a fool.
So look, all the kids are going back to school, and what better to talk about is when we were kids, what were some of the things that we did? So last year, cereal and cartoons and MTV videos and all of that. And this month, we have a great lineup. Today is no exception. We have great guests and just a wonderful idea of a new concept. Andy, are you excited about nostalgia as much as I am? Because I'm already getting the goosebumps.
I'm hanging out on these hills from the 2000s. Many of you guys who had Windows will instantly recognize where I am.
Dude, I thought that was the sound of music back there. I was ready to do re
That's
mi.
not my nostalgia. My nostalgia is the early 2000s, late 90s.
Well, let me just, first off, let me call this out. I don't like the fact when you edited it last week, 2 weeks ago now, that you called me old and you thought it was funny.
I think for a lot of people our age, Dylan, and even your age too, Kirk.
So I haven't got a chance to actually address that yet, but yes, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But it's due to nostalgia.
Hey, how'd you like this week's trophy championship that I had to give you a little bit?
Yeah.
A little step back. Patrick Mahomes rocking that belt.
Yeah, always with the Patty Mahomes. But either way, dude, nostalgia is a blast, man. Last month was probably one of our best months, or last year was probably one of our best ones, dude. Cereal blasted off like crazy. We had Jason Nupp, who we just had last week.
He'll be on in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah. So it's just been it's a fun time. I think everyone just loves nostalgia. And here's what I love about nostalgia is that much like the Rushmore Show, everything is personal. Everyone's nostalgia is a little bit different based on the decade.
See where you're going. I'm riding a little segue in.
So nostalgia can look different for everyone, which just makes it a fun conversation. And that's exactly what today is going to be like. So Kirk, what is happening today? What trip down memory lane are we taking today on the Rushmore Show?
I'm so glad you asked. Look, we always get this question. Why Rushmores? Those aren't the number ones. There are number ones because they're personal. And we couldn't make it any more personal than this week. This week, we decided to go on a little journey and say, hey, you guys have all seen them. The memes that come around. They come to Instagram. They come in your Facebook feed or whatever. And it just looks like a lunchroom. Back in the day, there's a lunchroom. And every table is a different type of person. What table are you sitting at? Well, today, we are going to design our own table, our own couple of friends from pop culture. And today's pop culture topic is going to be animated characters. So any animated character that's in a cartoon, comic, or whatever, who are the top 4 that you want to hang out with, have lunch with, maybe spend the day with, maybe be your friends? Your criteria is your own, and every Rushmore's personal. That's what it is today. Andy, I am crazily thinking about all the other topics. We're going to do this for football and video games. And dude, I love this idea. I hope you guys enjoy it just as much as I do. Andy, this was a hard one.
That's what she said.
I love this, man, because it brings me back, like the lunchroom, brings me back to high school. You got the jock table, you got the goth table, you got the prep table, you got the geek table, you got all these different tables. And I was the kind of person that literally spent one day at this table, one day at this table, one day at this table. So, man, I'm excited for this. This is going to be a great episode. What you think, Kirk?
So I'll just say this. I have a bad memory about lunch. I can remember a guy stabbing me in the hand with a fork.
You get fork stabbed!
But hopefully, let's put a fork in all of this commenting, and let's just move on into the Rushmore of cartoon characters you want to hang out with. Let's get it.
Come on.
Friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere and anytime at all.
Down here in the deep blue sea. It's
Welcome back. It is time to jump into the conversation. Let's not waste any time, but I need to welcome our guests. Today, we have two brand new guests. We met them back in the spring. We did something called St. Tammany Collectors Con. And while I was there, I took Cannon around the way, got to meet the Red Ranger. And right across from the Red Ranger was a local comic book artist. And we decided to actually stop on in and purchase some of his work and check out this stuff right here. Got the autos. Now, on top of that, there is a special #1 cover. And it's backwards for me. There is a special #1. Oh, it disappeared. There's a special #1 cover from an artist right here. And both of these guys are on today. Welcome to the show, the comic book writer, John McCarthy, and that particular artist, Robbie Musso. Welcome to the show, guys.
What's up, gentlemen?
How are you guys doing?
What's up, guys?
Thanks for having us, man.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Man, it is such a pleasure. Man, I enjoyed meeting you guys. And one of the main missions we had was just networking out there at the con. And we're going to be back while we're talking about it. We're going to be back this upcoming fall to the same convention. Hopefully you guys are there. But let's start and kind of move in to talking about each one of you. So, John, you can go first. You're the writer of Endangered here, but you have a couple other projects. Tell our fans why you guys would be on a show talking about cartoon characters and artistry, and tell us a little bit about your style, and then we'll jump into Rob.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm happy to be here. This topic tonight is something that's very precious to my heart, obviously. But no, I'm a comic book creator. And yeah, you guys were nice enough to pick up the Endangered series that I put out last year. Thank you guys for that. And Robbie and I both collaborated. We've been friends for probably about 14, 15 years now or so. And we've talked a lot about wanting to work together one of these days, and it just never quite worked out. But earlier this year, we decided to come together, and we made a comic book. It's called Comic Book Trivia. Robbie did all the art for it. I came up with this little short script and these 150 trivia questions from all eras of comic history that are in there. And it's a lot of fun. We're really excited about that. That one's coming out August 30th. So yeah, that was the first time that we collaborated together on something.
And you kind of sent me a few slides about it, and it looks fantastic. I mean, first off, I didn't get a chance to read it all because, man, I've got to wait for it to come out. But just checking the art and the style, it looks so much fun. And Robbie, tell me a little bit about your art and all of what you're doing. Because, man, first off, this book is just awesome to look at. And two, I mean, it's just a cool story. And on my back here, look, I even got some other of your stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
But, man, tell me a little bit about your artistry and just where that came from, Robbie.
Yeah, so John and I, like John said, we've collaborated on a couple of things. I did that cover. That's a tribute cover to a very classic Transformers cover that had Shockwave on it. It was issue number what? Number five, John, or four? Five.
Five.
Yeah, I should know that, right? But yeah, so that was an awesome cover, and it was a lot of fun to work on. But yeah, aside from that, I've been working in comics and toys since 2006, and yeah, that's pretty much been it. The last couple of years, I've been in the process of creating my own series, and it's going to be called Divine Circuits, and that's this stuff back here. It's been a slow burn, but it's burning. It's catching fire, and it's getting really hot. So I will be having a preview book for it at BotCon in August, actually at the end of next month. So yeah, I've worked on everything from Transformers comics to Speed Racer comics. I've moved on to working on the toys for Hasbro. So I've designed toys, package art, kind of run the gamut. I've done almost every stage of the toy creation process. So that's been the job that I've been doing since about 2010. And I figured it was just time to kind of make my own creation and kind of craft a story that I really just wanted to tell based on some characters I've been drawing since like the 90s, but I'm finally kind of making a story behind it. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Are just speaking Kirk's language, because Kirk, for the longest time, he told me you've been in the process, man, of writing a book for how long? Like,
I have been in the process of writing a book since my daughter's 23, since she was 5. So 18 years, and I am on chapter 3. So yeah, there you go. I am just, it's a slow burn, and I love it. And
hard to do, man.
One thing I've been saying, I'm an artist first and foremost. So my writing process is kind of backwards. I actually would draw the characters, create the characters first. And just like a kid playing with toys, you pretty much make a story around it. I didn't write these stories and then draw the characters based on the script. I'm writing the script based on the characters, but the way that they're working together, it's a learning process, and it's all awesome. To tell you the truth, I've really been enjoying the writing process and the creating process with that.
Man, I'm so excited you guys are here, though. And let's just say this. It is time to get into this, but my favorite word of all time is nostalgia. And so these months is just my favorite. I love going back in time. And today is no end. With that being said, I heard toys. We had a toys episode. We got cartoons. We've already done a cartoons episode. You guys are into comics. We've done DC and Marvel. Guys, if you guys are here watching our friends, be sure to check those out. Those have all been in the past.
Live in the now!
But let's get on and hook this up. Now, in the back, we flip the coin as we always do. John, you win today. John, you're going to go first.
Awesome.
Bobby, you'll go second. I'm third today, and Andy, your finish us off. And it is time to go. Now, look, if you haven't seen our show, I'll tell this to all of us one time. The very first time, the timer doesn't start until it is ready to go. But you're going to tell us what you were thinking, just so that people understand that this is a personal Rushmore to you. Now, the topic was cartoon characters you're going to hang out with. It could be anything. It could be because you think they look cool, because they're going to protect you, because they're going to be your best friend, because you want to, I don't know, get their powers. I don't care what it is. It's your Rushmore. Tell us what you're thinking, and then I'm going to start our 3-minute timer, and we're going to just go back and forth and see. Some are going to like them, some aren't. We won't always agree, but in Europe.
My criteria, yeah, it was kind of what we discussed, man. It was like I went back and thought about all the characters that I've seen that I could come up with in my memory from cartoons. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. So like you, I'm a big nostalgia fan. A lot of that, my childhood was formed through cartoons that I watch, and I still watch them to this day. My kids got me into anime, so I watch a lot of that. But so my criteria was just kind of going back and finding a character and trying to come up with a character that if I was able to hang out with this person, it would make for a very interesting experience for me, you know? So that was kind of how I approached it. And I tried to kind of go with predominantly known from the cartoon form, I should say. You know, they probably exist. Well, I think they all do exist in other media, but I think they're probably all best known for their cartoon versions.
Perfect. All right.
So, now look, if you don't know anything, this is Rosie. Rosie is your line in the sand. This means nobody else can get on your mountain. So this one's kind of important, but this is usually when we kind of we kind of differ a lot. So you're up. We're going to start the 3 minutes and let's hear what you got.
All right, man. So this was my number 4, but it's probably the best one off my list. And I'm going for my Rosie with the genie from Aladdin.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck.
I'm taking it away from everybody else, and for the obvious reasons, I'm assuming, hopefully, that we would hit it off well. I'm not honestly a big Will Smith fan, but I thought that character was great, and you have the wishes at your disposal. So I wanted to go ahead and play with that one out of the gate.
I love this pick, man. You took it right off my Benjamin, so I cannot use it later. I knew it was going to be mentioned. The fact that you get the 3 wishes is great. The fact that, look, you said Will Smith you're not a big fan of. You get to hang out with Robin Williams. If we're going to go back to
that's the key.
To do that, the comedy that's going to come with it, the fun, probably some of the craziness. That like the only thing holding me back from it is that I have to be very, very particular with my words, right? Because it's 3 wishes. You just got to be very careful with that. But
man. I love the fact. Look, so I'm a Robin Williams guy. If you've watched the show long enough, he's on my mountain of actors. He's on my mountain of pop culture. Love this guy. I'm going to be honest. He was one of 3 guys sitting in my Rosie, and like last week, I'm going to move him right on. Yeah, because it's a coin flip. I'm going to make him my number 1 Benjamin and not take him. But I was hoping he'd make it for me. I almost, as you can see back here, I got Simba running around. I almost put Aladdin there, but I didn't want to give anybody any hints. So, Genie, what a great pick for all the reasons. And you get the wishes.
Hey,
I kind of say a funny joke and be like, I'm going to use the genie to make me have more people at my table, and I get to pick other cartoon characters. But, I love it. I love it. Robbie, what do you think about Genie?
Is that the one when he says you ain't never had a friend like me?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
There you go.
Good friend to have.
I couldn't think of any other cartoon genies, so I was like, man, I want to go for like the most I don't know. He's not the most powerful, probably, but the one that's going to potentially yield the biggest return.
Well, when you say
Jafar becomes the genie at the end of.
He's the only cartoon genie that I think of.
Yeah, not Jafar's genie. No,
I dream of genie. That's not a cartoon.
Right.
But,
Sinbad was not a genie. That's one of those. Shaq was a genie, right?
Yeah. You said I dream of Genie, and technically that show was a cartoon.
That was an animated intro.
Yeah, animated.
It was an animated intro. Good call. Good call. I like it. Hey. That is a great start, John. We are almost up. So, Robbie, why don't you just jump in? There it is. Tell us your criteria and give us your first one. Your Rosie.
My criteria was, just if you're going to hang out with them, you want to be friends with them. You want somebody who's chill, somebody who's cool, somebody who is a loyal friend. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys watch this cartoon or not. I love this cartoon, but you ready? Teddy Ruxpin.
Good morning, Teddy. And happy birthday.
If you guys have ever watched the animated series, The Adventures of Teddy Ruxpin.
The demonic teddy bear.
Man, he's just such a wholesome guy, dude. He's just a wholesome friend. Just a good, loyal friend. And if you watch the cartoon, his friend Grubby was his sidekick, and he was just a loyal, good friend that you could count on. Grubby could always count on Teddy, and he was just wise and gentle and just a good guy, man.
Right. This is before your time. What do you know about Teddy?
I know that it's a precursor to the Furby. And Furby was more in my time. So, but I do. I know
one of my favorite things about Teddy Ruxpin is when you put like rock music cassettes in his because the actual toy came with a cassette and it played the song and he talked. But if you put like Kiss in there, he would sing Kiss. Dude, that was so awesome. But hey, I love this cartoon, love this pick. I actually have the box set for this that I purchased years ago for my oldest daughter. And I just remember they kind of like floated around in a balloon all over the place. They had the actual
airship
that was in there. Yeah, the airship. Yeah. And they just kind of went all across, and they had the little bad guys that they were. But
it's a great, like, I've always felt like, man, that's like one of the most underrated '80s cartoons. Like, and seriously, like they did a live action special movie first, and it was a little weird. You know, you're talking about '80s live action, costumes and stuff. So it was, the budget wasn't Hollywood budget, but the cartoon was outstanding. Truly, like, just. Good really messages, a good wholesome cartoon, and like, man, if you haven't watched it, if you have not watched that cartoon, I can't recommend it enough.
Good start. That is a great start, Andy. I'm gonna jump the gun and just reset this and get going, man. So look, my criteria. I mean, we've done cartoons already. Said my favorite cartoons. I don't know that any of mine are on those favorite cartoons, because you mentioned it kind of in our post. You love Batman, which that was my George, my number one in cartoons. But I mean, unless Bruce Wayne's giving me money or he's my bodyguard, I really don't care to hang out with Batman. I mean, it'd be cool if he was like my dad or something, like, oh, my dog's Batman.
When I'm not fighting crime, I drive a Honda Odyssey. It gets better gas mileage.
But like, I don't want to I don't need that. So I was trying to think of guys that I want to be friends. And I've asked this question to a couple people. Be like, hey, I asked Cannon who his favorites might be. And some of the kids, my wife, I asked one of the teachers at work. And I was like, hey, would you want any villains or bad guys to hang around with? And kind of think about that. And I honestly, I picked guys that were relatable to me, so what's personality wise, as a pastor, as a teacher, as a coach, I don't know that I'd want to hang out necessarily with any of those guys. So I'm picking guys that are going to be good people. And look, you took Genie off my list. So I'm going to jump into my other two. Now, I kind of have a feeling that one of those is going to be mentioned by our co-host. So I'm going to leave that one. And it's probably going to go. But I'm going to mention the other one. And actually, our friend Paul mentioned it on Facebook. And I have to go with Bandit from Bluey.
I'm fine. Just ignore this. Now, what about my library card?
Oh, I'm sorry. We can only accept... Look, if you could just stop dancing for a moment.
I would if I could, mate.
Nice.
And look, this is a new cartoon, and it wouldn't even make my top 4. But Bandit, if you've watched the cartoon, my son is a little past wanting to watch that. But I have watched it because I teach kindergarten, I teach first, second, and sometimes that stuff comes up. Bluey's dad is the coolest dad I've ever watched. I mean, honestly, he's funny. He takes care of the kids. He's a jokester. He's one that gives a good lesson, but also it doesn't take everything so serious, right? He kind of plays around. And that, honestly, the reason I'd want to sit down with him is because I absolutely love hanging out with other dads. I just do, like dad jokes, dad things, but I love talking about our kids and just hanging out. And that to me would have great conversation. And to me, animated wise, I don't know that there's a better dad out there. And Paul, I commend you for throwing that on out there in the comments that Andy was posting. I was really hoping to save that one as a smoking gun. But yeah, I'm going to go with Bandit. He's a blue healer, right, from Bluey, this new cartoon. So I don't know if you guys actually know this one, but it's going to be on my pick.
Yeah, it's a fun show for sure. But I need you to just go ahead and crank up my criteria real quick. I'm just going to tell you my criteria. And my criteria is that there's a reason I'm not talking about this a lot. I'll just say that. I've mentioned specific cartoons multiple times on this show. So I tried to the best of my ability, much like you, Kirk, to stay away from those ones, right? Because I mean, dude, like all wrestling month, it was like Stone Cold, Rock, Undertaker, Kane every week, like DX, like where
I'm waiting for the butt.
Right. Like, so I'm trying to diversify a little bit. So I went a little bit off of here. And every one of the friends that I'm going to mention here, there's a specific reason that I'm doing that, right? We all have reasons, right? But it's like, I need this friend for this, right? This friend for this. And I'm going to jump out guns a-blazing with a Crushmore already with Kirk. I'm going Bandit Healer is my number 4, my Rosie.
Let's go!
Is he still dirty?
Dad!
Oh, hi, Bingo. Oh, no, not bad mood.
Hey, Bingo, check out my tower. Bingo, what are you doing? I can't help it. I'm in a bad mood.
Oh, hi, Bingo. Bingo, what's gotten into you?
It's not me. Mum, Bingo knocked down my tower. That's Stinky John.
Let's go!
Here's why.
Nice.
Here's why. I love that Paul mentioned in the comments, but it was immediately one I thought of, and here's why. If you don't know, I have the Rushmore Show that I'm a part of, but also the girl dad. I have 3 daughters. Bandit Healer has 2 daughters, right? So he's a girl dad for all the reasons that you shared, Kirk. He's a lovable dad. He teaches a good lesson. He gets on the ground and plays with his kids. He acts like a fool. He doesn't care about what others think. He's just a great dad. And I think that for so long, dads in cartoons and in TV and in pop culture have always been portrayed as the stupid one that can't do anything right. You know, that it's just and look, there's times where it's funny, dude. I love The Simpsons. Like Homer's not a great dad. Like, you know what I mean? So like Peter Griffin, I love Family Guy. Like it's funny, but it's refreshing to watch a cartoon that now like dad is not the idiot, right? Who is just the lovable, like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, no, the dad is really kind of, you know, outside of the show being called Bluey, is one of the main characters of this show. Like the lessons that he teaches, everything that he does. So I would want to hang out with him to like pick his brain. Like, dude, how can I just be a better dad? How can I be like you? And anyway,
Yeah.
so this is
one of the things that I thought of. One of the things that I immediately thought of was, wouldn't it be cool if Bandit had his own like dad YouTube channel, right? Because dude, it's just so well written. If you haven't watched it, it's written for young elementary kids. Let's just be honest. But spend 15 minutes and just watch one episode, and you're gonna be like, man, he is written really well. It gives dads a good name. But like one of the last ones that I remember, he's like walking like a robot, and he's holding the kids. And he's like, I am a robot. And then like, and he just keeps playing. He just keeps role playing with his kids. And he gives this lesson, and he just doesn't stop. And then the next thing he's like, he's talking about his butt. I mean, like, and it's just really silly, but there's always a point. And I honestly want to be that kind of dad. Like, I want to be funny. I want to be.
How can you watch this? Is this on one of the streaming networks or
Disney Plus?
It's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so,
fun to me. Like I've got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, and then like a 3-month-old. She's not watching it, but 6, 9, like they're at that age where this fits good. It's a 15-minute episode. It's a really quick watch. It's super fun, man. It's just a really good, well written.
I'm surprised that you went with that one right out the gate. And now I'm wondering if the other one I held back is going to have to be a Benjamin. But all right. So look, let's move on to our TJ Jazzy Jeff. Now that is our third guy on the mountain. It's the second round for us as we move forward. John, you're going to be up. This time you don't need any criteria. We just jump right on in.
All right. So for my TJ Jazzy Jeff, I'm kind of going in the opposite from your guys' Rosie. You guys went with this great cartoon TV dad. I'm going with one of the worst TV dads of all time. Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty.
My name is Rick Sanchez. This here's my grandson Morty.
Hi, Morty.
Hey, I've seen enough of the galaxy to know what we've got here is a cromulon from the Cygnus 5 expanse. So you can forget about nukes, and you can forget about math. This head won't go away until Earth shows them it's got a hit song.
I think he would be an incredibly good time from watching this show as much as I do. I think he would have my back, not let anything terrible happen to me. He's like the smartest guy in the galaxy. So I think it would be a pretty fun little adventure we would go on.
Let me just jump in here. So I watched this show for the very first time about maybe 3 weeks ago. And it just so happened I'm perusing through late night HBO Max or whatever, one of those that it's on.
Yeah.
And I see it and I'm like, man, what's the gist? I can tell you this. I'm not an adult cartoon fan ever. Who
hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
And I'm like, I know what I'm getting into, but I ended up I went down the rabbit hole and watched about 3 episodes, and it immediately told me that, yes, I don't like this, but I can see why someone would want to hang out with that guy. He is extremely smart. He does have, I think it's his grandson. It's his grandson, right? So he's grandpa, right? So he has his grandson's back, and then like I watched episode 1, 2, and 3 or whatever, where they like go back in time and then they have to go through this like check-in. Like the concept of this cartoon is hilarious. But you know, now that I'm saved and everything and being a part of ministry, sometimes I look at some of that and I go, just why? Like this would have been such a great thing, but why did you have to go there? Like I think there was like an alien that was an actual butt. I mean, like it was like whatever. But yeah, I can see why you want to hang out with him.
It does get ridiculous, but I'm a fan of it, I think, because as a writer, the way that they craft those stories is actually, it's pretty brilliantly done a lot of the time, I feel like. And they kind of take these really big like sci-fi concepts and kind of spin it on its head and poke.
I did notice that it's kind of based off of a lot of other things, obviously Back to the Future, but it's based on a lot of other things as well. So
yeah,
cool.
so it was,
Robbie, what you think about this?
I've never watched it.
Yeah,
I've never watched that show.
If you don't like, so Simpsons, Family Guy,
I do.
South
It's
Park,
okay.
I don't those kind of things. You'd probably love it.
It's not my favorite thing, but I don't hate it. If it's on and I'm watching it, it's funny a lot of times. But I've always heard Rick and Morty. I've never watched it.
If you haven't,
imagine Doc Brown from Back in the Future just being an obnoxious drunk who's got vomit coming out of his mouth and who just constantly dumps on Michael J. Fox's character. That's kind of what the concept of it is. But it is really, really well executed. It is very adult cartoon. Not nudity or anything. There's profanity, but even the earlier versions were on like Adult Swim, so the profanity wasn't there like it is now on the HBO version. But it is really well written, so it's very entertaining. I'm a fan.
I love a well-written cartoon. That's one of my prerequisites on almost anything it comes to do with animation. Andy, you didn't get a chance, but
no, I'm short. This is a blind spot. I honestly have not watched this. I am not for any reason other than I don't know. It's just never happened for me.
You got some viewers out there cheering.
I was just trying not to be uncultured swine when it happened.
I know this. I will say this, John, just as my last one. This is one of the most popular cartoons contemporary, right? Like it's the big one that's, I know that. And so obviously there's a huge fan base. I think plenty of people are going to agree with you. I just can't speak on it from, and it's funny. This is how much of a blind spot it is. Until you just said it's a play on Back to the Future, it just clicked in my head exactly what it is. Like the whole, anyway, so I don't even, is more.
I'm kind of confused why his name's Rick.
Yeah.
Rick Sanchez. Yeah. I don't know why they call him that.
Morty and Marty kind of fit, but anyways.
Rick and Doc.
Right.
Emmett Brown was Doc
Emmett Brown, right? Yeah. So
I'm so confused.
All right, Rob, you are up. What's your TJ Jazzy Jeff? And go.
My TJ Jazzy Jeff is Uncle Scrooge McDuck.
Bonnie Copper Column, Bonnie Silver Column, I'm in love with you. Bonnie Paper Column, why do you look solemn? I adore you too. Hiya, rustle and sparkle and tinkle.
My reason is because, first of all, he's a funny character. but he's rich. So I would like to learn how he got rich, and if he could give me some tips on getting rich. And I can
watched the cartoon.
I can just draw and create divine circuits for the rest of my life, and have all of Uncle Scrooge's money and his money bin. Then it would be a day worth hanging out with Uncle Scrooge McDuck.
So I like this pick. I thought about putting it on there, but the reason I took it off is the cartoon's great. I love it. But the reason he's a rich guy who's not going to give me any money because
that's kind of what I thought. That's kind of
there's no opportunity for him to give me money. Right.
So I love this cartoon.
Maybe I can get it out of him. How'd you make your money?
Scrooge McDuck. He's not called Scrooge McDuck.
I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, there is a basically whole genre of literature based on Scrooge, like just not giving any penny. But if you've watched the cartoon, there are times where he actually is an amazing uncle to his nephews.
He's a good guy.
I really like that a little bit.
Grouch.
But he is grumpy. I think hanging out with him would be cool to go on the adventures, right? But I did equally, Andy, we were on the same wave path. He is a Benjamin that I was possibly going to throw out if nobody said it and he was out there. But he is, yeah. I like how you said learning how he made his money, you know, with the dime that he always carried around. Like maybe learning a little bit, but great cartoon. Probably don't want to hang out with him.
I'd also like to know how he swims into coins like that.
I just bought a giant room full of gold coins, and I'm going to dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. Ah, it's not a liquid!
Dude,
that is something really cool, though. Like, how do you... And I want to have enough money to even attempt to swim in coins. Right. I mean, I've had a little jar of pennies, and you can't even get your hand in there. I mean, I don't understand the whole concept.
Yeah, maybe you have to be a duck. I don't know.
So I guess it will be up for me. Let's hit a reset. It will be my TJ Jazzy Jeff. And honestly, this is just another guy that I was kind of thinking of when it came to who I wanted to pick. And I'm going to jump in and say I'm a big video game guy. I love video games. I mentioned kind of one of the criterias for me to you guys that I didn't want to pick, say, Mario, because his immediate medium is Super Mario Brothers. But there is a game, or there is a cartoon that was based on video games that would play with all those video games. And it's Captain N, the Game Master.
What? How did we get here? Simon Belmont? Kid Icarus? Mega Man?
And you must be Captain N.
You guys aren't real. You're just so many computer bytes in my game cartridges. Wow, they're real.
Where he gets sucked into the game and he hangs out with Mega Man. He hangs out with Icarus or Pit. He hangs out with and kind of fights Mother Brain. I just thought this is a cool concept, and I maybe hang out like with him and be a part of some of those adventures in some of the video games that I loved as a kid and still play, which I got Lion King back here going right now. But I just love the idea of that cartoon. It did miss my mountain in cartoons, but I was like, hey, being a good dad, check. That's Bandit. Video games, check. So I'm kind of moving along. I would go with Captain N, the Game Master. Andy, I see you looking up. Is this a blind spot?
This is a blind spot, dude. This is what, 80s? So yeah. Oh no, 91.
Yeah, so he had like the Nintendo controller as a belt buckle, and he would like
flying on the Game Boy.
Didn't he have the zapper?
Yep. He
like
had the zapper.
His blaster,
yep.
His gun, basically.
So the bad guys was Mother Brain and Eggplant and
a very bizarre rendition of Mother Brain.
Yeah, it was kind of bizarre. So I just enjoyed the cartoon. I like the concept, and I thought it would be really cool to maybe do some of the adventures with him because
I love where you're going with this. I mean, again, not knowing it, but the idea that you get to go hang out in the video games and stuff, super cool, man. Love it. Love it.
All right, so Andy, you are up for your TJ Jazzy Jeff, and
yeah, I'm just going to tell you, man, right here. I'm going to go down a route that you guys are not, Kirk. You're not going to think that I'm going to go down because, again, criteria. I want to be want to diversify my picks when it comes to cartoons. And I'm going to go with a classic from my childhood. When you were in school, you watched this cartoon at my age, and I'm going to go with Mrs. Frizzle.
What's that?
Oh, good morning, class. My, look at all these wonderful things in the aquarium. Oh, and a treasure chest. Your treasure chest reminds me of something. Don't go away. Ah, here it is. My great grandfather Redbeard's treasure map.
I'm picking Miss Frizzle. She is my TJ Jazzy Jeff Magic School Bus. Here's the thing, dude. The amount of, every time you watch that, or I watched that cartoon as a kid, I wanted to go on that adventure. I wanted to hop in that magic school bus. I wanted to shrink down to the size of an atom, and I wanted to go fly through find some red blood cells, whatever it was we were doing for that day. Here's the thing, hanging out with her, can she get a little annoying because she speaks in riddles all day? Yeah, maybe, but it makes it interesting. This is the kind of person that I want to hang out with, that's going to bring me on adventures, that I'm never going to have the chance to do this again in my life. And then she's going to educate me too along the way. I think about this too. I was in education for 6 years. There was this one teacher in 11th grade who made me love learning, and it took until 11th grade. So the fact that if I can get this teacher who just makes learning so fun and challenging, but different, but brings you on an adventure. Dude, field trips were the best part of school, and you did a field trip every single day with Miss Frizzle. So I'm going to go with Miss Frizzle, Miss Valerie Frizzle from the Magic School Bus to hang out with.
Hey, so I'm just going to, just like John said, well-written cartoon, very, very good concept, kind of like Captain N. I love the idea where you're kind of going into science and in space. But I want to why I was cheering so much. So I asked my friend Aaron, who's the STEM teacher at school, who would you go with? And he's like, come on, it's got to be Miss Frizzle. And that was basically his only pick. Aaron, shout out to you. And Miss Frizzle. I can't wait to send him a message because, there you go. Boys, you guys have seen Miss Frizzle, right?
I have not.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I've not. I'm not familiar.
Magic School Bus.
School Bus. What? So was that on was that on Nickelodeon or
PBS or something? It wasn't
PBS,
even.
okay.
I think it was like PBS, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
So basically, it's one of those education ones. She's always got, we're going to learn about bodies today, and then you go into the body, you see how blood's done, or we're going to learn about volcanoes, and the school bus would take you there, and then they would be there.
They've rebooted it recently, and it's a little different. I mean, it's, anytime you reboot something that nostalgic to you personally, sometimes it's hard to get behind.
You know how you have dress as a literature character at school? I did this for Carson and made her dress one time to go as Miss Frizzle. And she had, what's the chameleon's name? What's his name? You remember? Anyways, I put the chameleon up here on her shoulder so she'd go to school. We are halfway through our mountain. Man, hey, and it is time to kind of just jump into nostalgia it is. Now, look, before we go in today, coming in a few weeks, we are doing top 4 commercials ever. And I promise you, these 2 commercials are not going to be on it. Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Dang nabbit, I can never find a parking space after lunch.
Cartoon Network keeps adding stars without adding parking spaces.
Oh,
There's a space
reserved for Papa Smurf.
Bloody freaking die.
Wise Papa Smurf, corrupted by his own power. Can no leader go undated?
Hey, fellas, looking for a parking space? You can take mine.
Now, this guy's a true hero.
Could have sworn I parked in the Wally Gator F-lot. Or was it in... Oh, boy. Now I remember. I flew into work today. Silly me.
Oh, brother.
Oh, man, look, there's one. There's one.
All right, boys, I need your foot power to help me gun it.
Nick, on the Lord of Hero, Nick, on the Ricky Ticky Love while living number one Nickelodeon. Nick, Nickelodeon. Bom, 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 Nickelodeon. Bom, 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 Nickelodeon. Aren't you glad you got your Nickelodeon?
Is your home a Nickelodeon home?
The preceding editorial message does not necessarily represent the family of fine Nickelodeon products and services.
Yes, it does!
Nickelodeon, the first and only network for kids.
On the Ricky Dicky Love while living number one Nickelodeon.
Welcome back to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Guys, thank you for hanging out with us this long. Hope you enjoyed a little laughter with our commercials. It is time to get to the second half of the mountain. Speaking of mountains, let's talk about the Summit Squad. Guys, if you are here, welcome to the family. Our Summit Squad are those guys that just kind of hang around with us each and every week. And if you want to be a part of that, it's really easy. Just drop in the comments your top four favorite cartoon characters that you'd hang out with. Now, be honest with me. If you're thinking and you're hanging out with us this long, you kind of are putting a list together. Give us what you're thinking, because we're not always on the same page. As you see, all four of us are from different places, and we'd like to hear what your comments are. But now it's time to go up the second half of the summit. We're going to climb to the pinnacle of the George. And John, you're up. It's Lincoln, and he's number 2 on our list. So you're up, and let's see where we're going now.
Yeah, for my link, I'm going to go with, it's kind of a similar take with the Magic School Bus. You know, it was a cartoon that I watched a lot as a kid. Loved it. It's one of my favorite cartoons from the 80s, and that was the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon from back in the day. So my character would be the Dungeon Master from Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeon Master, great.
Dungeon Master, I am sorry that your quest for a way home met with failure. Perhaps you will have better luck in the future. But now, there is great danger ahead. The Duke of Darkness has taken over the land of...
Wait, Dungeon Master. We only want to hear 2 things. How do we find Tiamat, and how do we use her to beat Venger once and for all?
Listen to me, Ranger. Do not let your anger control you. The course you are taking can only lead to ruin. So then, it has come to this.
Well, because I used to play a lot of D&D. I would still be doing it if I had the free time to do it. It's a lot of fun, but in that cartoon, he kind of controls everything. So he can kind of take you in. Again, it kind of goes with my theme of wanting to get with some of these interesting characters and kind of go on some really like cool adventures. And I think you'd have my back, you know, if I roll up on Warduke or someone like that, or Tiamat, he'd probably make sure I was okay. You know, give me a little one of those lightning bows to shoot at him. But I love that cartoon as a kid. And I would think it would be a heck of a lot of fun to just kind of have someone kind of tour me through that world and show me all those kind of crazy creatures and stuff like that.
I will say this. I never played D&D. I was not. I mean, I'm familiar with the cartoon and I'm familiar with the concept of it and everything. I just never did that. Like when I was growing up, like Pokemon cards were big. So that kind of became our big thing that we do. Magic was kind of a thing too. But so I never really did the D&D thing, but I will say from what I know of D&D, ain't no way I want to hang out with anybody with D&D. Dude, those creatures that would come out like, bruh, bye, peace. I'm out. I'm not part of that.
He's kind of the omnipotent being in that world. So he would, as long as he's with you, he would make sure you're okay. You know,
if he's hanging out with you and your friends and you guys are cool, then I get it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. See, I never played D&D either, but I love that cartoon. Like that was the D&D for me. You know, was that cartoon and Saturday mornings. You know, that was when it would start up and they'd get on that roller coaster and go into that cave, and then man, it's awesome cartoon.
That intro is kind of stuck in my brain. You know, them going through the roller coaster, but I love the concept of D&D, and if I'm honest, I never had a friend group that was interested in it. So like I would be interested in doing that when I was a kid, but there was just I just either didn't hang out with those people or didn't know them, and you know, but I love role-playing video games. I just absolutely love them. Andy, I know we've mentioned it before, you hate them, but I like this idea of Dungeons and Dragons. Just a shout out real quick. Playing games with strangers is kind of in a network that we partner with, and that is their whole concept, is playing online Dungeons and Dragons type games with strangers. So it's really cool. But I like this, and I like the pick. I know the guy, and I'd be scared of a lot of those guys too. Like Venger is a tough baddie, dude, and just a cool cartoon. I like that you picked him. I was like, are you going to pick the unicorn? Where are you going with this? What are you
no uni for me.
So, all right, Robbie.
Okay.
On your map?
I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. And what are we on? Link, right? Okay, Link. You ready? Is Jim from Jim and the Holograms.
Truly outrageous.
So switching a little bit, because you know what? Look, 80s me, kid me, like I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a crush on Jim from Jim and the Hologram. So there you go. Yes. So if I could spend a day,
truly outrageous.
If I could spend a day with Jim and Jerica, and that would be great, dude. So there's my link.
Makes sense, right? We're all picking mythical creatures and dudes and animals and stuff, and you pick the
I think I'll mix up a little bit. I'm trying to think of the different genres of cartoons.
I love this. That's so funny. That's Jim, cool cartoon for. So I ventured into the girl cartoons, whether it was Rainbow Bright, Care Bears, whatever it may be. That theme song is stuck in my head. We have cartoon theme songs coming up. Dude, it really is a pretty good, catchy one.
It's a jam. That intro was awesome.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. My daughter would definitely pick this. My older daughter, she loved that movie when it came out, which kind of bombed.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
But Jim, John,
I was like, no, not.
John, do you award this pick? I mean, we're stretching.
No, I think this is a solid pick, man. I remember watching that show when it came out. I had a chance to meet the actual Samantha. I can't remember her last name. Who did the voice?
Samantha Newark.
Yeah. Yep. She did the voice for that cartoon, and that was one I think that crossed gender boundaries back in the 80s. Like you were talking about, and really a lot of those cartoons did. I mean, I grew up in that era of time. We loved cartoons so much. I think you watched whatever was on. I watched Care Bears. I watched Smurfs. I didn't really watch what was the one, Holly Hobby or whatever it was. I didn't really get into that, but I did watch Jim and the Holograms because it was kind of like a precursor to like a Sailor Moon or something like that almost.
Nice.
The superhero element
or
to
She-Ra.
it. Yeah, She-Ra. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like she was kind of cool. It was like a superhero-y type of show. So no, I think that's a great choice. Yeah, and everybody loved Jim.
And little trivia, it's actually set in the same universe as Transformers and G.I. Joe. So there's a one character. He's basically a parody of Geraldo Rivera, and he appeared in Transformers, G.I. Joe, and Jim.
That's the movie.
So
I did not know that.
That's the multiverse.
His name was Hector Ramirez.
The multiverse.
That's the multiverse
of madness
in cinema today.
Nice. So look, I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit and go a little. Well, I'm kind of all over the place, so not really shifting gears too much. Let me start my timer. I'm always bad at doing that when it's my turn. But look, I'm going to go. So we talked about well-written. I was kind of setting this up. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the most well-written cartoons in history as far as a series goes. I love seeing where they're going and what they're doing every single day. And I am picking Phineas Flynn from Phineas and Ferb.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, may I present to you a spectacle most of the morning in the making. The coolest coaster ever! go. Who wants to go first?
And look, I'll never be bored because there's always something to do today. And man, I love this concept, this idea of Phineas. Phineas is kind of the smart one. You got Ferb, who's kind of the quieter one. But hanging out with Phineas and seeing, dude, he's making like roller coasters in the background, in the backyard. He's like, he just does all these amazing over the top things. And what it tells me is, man, when I was a kid, I had imaginary friends, I had a big imagination. I'm playing in the backyard in the playground, and you're doing all this, but Phineas is actually in the background really doing that. And dude, just hanging out at his house, and then, it all disappears before mom and dad get home. And it's just like, the sister's trying to tell on him. I love the whole idea of hanging out with Phineas. He's extremely smart for a young kid, and there's always going to be something to do every single day. Well, that's going to be my link. What you guys think about that one?
So, funny thing about Phineas and Ferb, it is also a blind spot for me. Here's what happened. It came out around that time when I was like getting out of cartoons and
early 2000s,
old, or you know what I mean? Like I was, teens, later teens and stuff, and I just wasn't paying attention to it. And then by the time now, it's like I just haven't gone back to get back to it. But I know that it gets mentioned a lot. I know that you talk about this particular cartoon a ton, so I know you definitely love it.
My kids used to watch. It is a well-written cartoon. I agree. I don't know if it's the best written cartoon of all time, but it is. It's
one of the best. Yeah. So there's plenty of good ones, but I just love the idea of what's going on every single week. Actually, Doofenshmirtz, I almost thought about putting him on there because he's really not that bad of a guy. He's just trying to figure out life. I just like it. And at Disney, dude, you've been to Disney, Andy. You didn't do the Phineas trip? Dude, that is awesome. You could go all around Epcot. That actually makes Epcot not boring, to be honest. So do the Phineas and Ferb adventure. That's cool. You got to go in all the different buildings. So, Andy, you're up.
Yes, I am up, and I am going to go with somebody that I'm going to just have a blast with, right? Because he's the party dude. We're going Michelangelo. We're going Mikey from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Master Splinter, if he lives, we'll find him. We turtles don't know the meaning of the word defeat. That's right. We never bothered to look it up in the dictionary.
Excellent, dude, because I've got this far-out idea for a pizza dough tosser. Hey, we can't fight crime without pizza.
If I had to pick one of the four, he's my George of the Ninja Turtles. I love Mikey. Dude, I get to go hang out and eat pizza with him. I get to party and have fun. He is the comic relief. This is like when I was in high school age, like I wanted to hang out with the kids who were the comic relief, right? Not necessarily always the class clowns, because that was kind of annoying, but just like we just like to have a good time. Like to me, me and Mikey are so similar, right? I know everybody jumps to Raphael as being one of their favorites. I always thought he was just too dark and too like this dude's just a jerk. Like I don't want to hang out with him. I mean, he's cool. I know Kirk, you're on a different wavelength when it comes to the Turtles, but dude, Mikey is a party dude. Forever going to be like, if I'm going to pick one of the four to hang out with, he is the one I'm going to have the most fun with. So that is my link, Michael.
Good choice.
So this is the one character that I kind of, when I'm going through the whole list of all the ones, this is the guy that I can imagine being on most people's lunch table. They want to hang out with Mikey, right? Not only is he bringing the pizza, but he's funny. He's hilarious. He's always got a quip that, some kind of one-liner.
He can teach me to use the nunchucks. I mean, how cool is that? I can fly with the nunchucks, dude. I can do the whole thing. I do want to go see the new one in theaters. It looks.
Does he have the grapple?
Well,
the grappling hook?
Awesome. Cannon is decked out in all the Mutant Mayhem new stuff for school on Wednesday. Like his book bag, his pencil case, everything. Love that. So, and we constantly argue about this. He's brought up his pencil case 50 times and go, which one of these is the coolest one? And they got all four. And I put my selection, and he's like, no, it's this guy, and it's Raphael, of course, right? So
I used to play Don on the arcade game. I always picked Donatello. I think Michelangelo would be more fun to hang around with.
All right, so that is our link. John, it's your
We're
George.
at the pinnacle. We're at the top of the mountain.
Right it.
This is the one you want to hang out with. If you only had this one, this is number one. Where are you going with your George, John?
All right, I'm gonna bring in a visual aid. As I mentioned, my kids, my oldest one's 22. I was never really into manga or anime really growing up, but my kids got me into it because they loved it. And my favorite of all anime is called One Punch Man.
Whoa!
So Saitama would be my number one. This guy.
Next, side-to-side jumps for 30 seconds. Ready? Go! Next, weightlifting. Next, shot put. Vertical jumping. Whack-a-mole. Punching machine.
This guy right here. He is hilarious, and he is so freaking strong that you don't have to worry about anybody causing you any problem. That's a dangerous universe as well of superheroes and villains, but nobody can even scratch this guy. So he makes Superman look like a Rainbow Bright. So I'm not worried about anybody. I'm going to hang out with my guy, Saitama, and we're going to have a good time and go buy some groceries.
So I have not watched One Punch Man, but I've heard a lot about it. And,
so good.
And so I'm not an anime guy. I just never was like huge into it. There are specific things that I like. I was a big Dragon Ball Z guy when I was growing up, in high school and stuff like that. So I love that. But from what I've heard of this whole One Punch Man, I forget his name. What's his name again? What'd you say?
Saitama.
Okay. Yeah. Like when we're talking about most powerful characters of all, I mean, he's up there. So
he's ridiculously overpowered. I mean, it's to the point it is crazy. But the thing for me, I think I love Dragon Ball as well and Naruto, and I've watched a ton. My kids are really into them big time. But I think the thing that grabbed me with One Punch Man was it's basically a comic book superhero world, and he's just kind of this character who, they talk about how he gets his powers, and it's just ridiculous because he's like, well, I just do push-ups, sit-ups, and, run. That's all I did. I just trained. And then I'm suddenly, he's like, I mean, it's ridiculous. He goes to punch someone and you just see the clouds. They pull back in space and you see the clouds part on Earth from just the end of his punch. But it's really, really well done, beautifully animated, and also great written series. Yeah, I love it, man. It's a lot of fun. I'd highly recommend it. You can hop into it now if you haven't seen it, because there's really, unlike a lot of anime, there's only 2 seasons of this out. A lot more of the manga, obviously. So you can kind of still get in on it a little bit early and catch it. It's not like One Piece where you have 1,000 episodes that you have to catch up with or something like that. But I love it. It's one of my favorites. And that character's awesome. He's hilarious.
So let me just jump in and say this. And I love, this is one of my most fascinating things to watch. It's like YouTubes of people like arguing back and forth who's stronger in the artist world. And it's like, I mean, like, John, can't you just design a guy who's going to be stronger than all of them right now? I mean, like, can't you just do that? I mean, you're the artist. So I love how it's like they're on different worlds. And because of what he does in this world, he's stronger than Superman. It's like, yeah, but can't he just make Superman stronger if he wanted him to? And it's just this big war. It's one of my favorite things. And that guy is consistently the champ.
He is.
Every single time they talk about it. Every time.
One of the good things about the story as well is it's almost a play on that. It's like he's so over the top powerful that all he does is just try to look for someone to even give him a challenge. But it's not so much even really focused on him. He's just always there as the default. And he's just as goofy. I mean, that's what he looks like most of the time, until he then they reanimate him when he goes into like a superhero mode, just kind of changes his pose. But it's almost a play on that overpowered anime characters. But yeah, I mean, he's ridiculously powerful, like really strong.
And you guys being in the comic book world, you know what I'm talking about, right? This argument of,
oh yeah,
is Hulk stronger than Superman? Is he stronger than Thor? Is he stronger than
who would win, Goku or Superman?
One Punch Man? No, he's not. Or Goku at Super Saiyan? No. Like, it's so funny to me. Like, it's somebody else's
Batman or Superman. That's a classic.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, Robbie, you're up. Great pick, man. Great pick, Robbie. You're up.
Okay.
There it is.
Yes.
Autobots, transform! Fire! It's
just you and me now, Megatron.
Then you better get some help, Prime.
Oh no, I've been waiting for this chance. Only one of us is going back, Megatron.
It won't be you, Prime.
You're finished, Megatron.
This is my childhood G1 Prime here. I've had this since 1984. So, yeah, I know. Cliche to be expected. But I mean, really. I mean, could I not pick Optimus?
So I was kind of thinking about this, and you guys kind of gave it away in the little comments that you're probably going to pick it. You can obviously see by the art behind you, there has been some inspiration for you in your artistry with your comic and your story you're going with. But I really had Optimus up there as an idea of being, because, man, how cool would it be to actually have Optimus as your friend? Or any of the Transformers in that, imagine, like, obviously, Bumblebee or whatever, turn it into a car, we get to ride up, then you get to protect me, I mean, it's just a really cool thing, too.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, like, in the 80s, as a kid, I didn't read comics, to be honest. Like, big, taboo, but I didn't really read comics growing up. Like, cartoons were my thing, and Optimus was my Superman. He was my number one hero, and he really was just, he was a noble hero. Like, he really was. And
also, if we want to say iconic voices.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, Optimus.
Voices.
Peter Cullen's voice as Optimus, and especially the G1 Optimus. There's really no question. There was no contest for me. Absolutely no contest.
Yeah, it's obviously a great pick. I do like the voice idea of that too, because it's just one of those, like, when you hear it, you know it. I actually had him in one of our episodes where we talked about his death in the cartoon. That was in one of my Rushmores as well. And yeah, I think it was a Benjamin. Transformers was probably a Benjamin for me in the cartoon episode. But great pick.
I had a great dad. I'm not someone who would say, Optimus was my father figure.
You're not my dad!
By any means. But he was a very good role model and a very good father figure for a lot of kids. And he's just a good character, great character.
Let me ask you this: how do you feel about the new versions?
So, like the live action movie ones, even though it's voiced by Peter Cullen, it's not the same character. Yeah, they're okay, but none of them can top G1.
I'm one of the, I don't know, I guess might be an outlier. I really enjoy Michael Bay's Transformer stuff. Honestly, anything from my childhood, when I get to re-see it, I'm not the guy that's like, you're ruining my childhood. I'm like, yes, I get to see it again. But I don't care that people change it up too much. As long as, we all understand. And now with all these multiverses, like,
yeah, there's the whole generation of kids, like, that is their Transformers.
That's it too. Like, I get to watch it with my kids. So that's pretty awesome. All right.
Good pick, man. Good pick. Optimus Prime. All right, Kirk, you were at the top of your list. You're George. Where are you going? Your number one animated character that you would like to hang out with. What you got?
Yeah, so I have to go with kind of a Rushmore with you, Andy, but same universe, different character.
I know. Yep.
I'm going with Donatello.
My name is Donatello, and as long as I can remember, I've always liked to tinker with stuff. I started building my own toys when I was just a little hatchling. And now that I've grown up, well, the toys just got bigger. But when it comes to crunch time, I found the simplest gadget is still the most effective.
Yes, Donatello is the number one Ninja Turtle.
Bruh.
By far. Robbie, I love the fact that you used him in the video game for multiple reasons. He's the geek, the nerd, the smartest one, and he swings a bow. And I love baseball, man. I would want the bow over all the weapons. Yeah, I love him in every iteration. The newest one is really cool. He's soft shell, so he builds his own like metal shell. He's just the smart guy. And to me, he built the van. He built all the different tech that they use. I love Donnie, and I think he's underrated. But as far as me, why would I want him to be as my friend? I relate the most to him. He is so underrated. He doesn't get any of the fame. And he's nerdy and geeky. And I just love his character. And so going back to my story before, Cannon would come up, who's your favorite? And I'd be like, that guy. And he's like, oh, he's the worst. Why do you say he's the worst? And I'm like, that's exactly why I love him. So number one, in the when this thing came out, I only had one, and I knew it. There he is.
Donatello is like the android of the he gets all the hate. He gets a ton of hate. I know exactly. And that's why I say it. He gets a ton of hate, but people who love him, and they just stick by him and they get it. But they're wrong because Mikey's the best. But I mean, we've had.
Hey, let's just not. And if I'm hanging with Donnie, I'm probably hanging out with Mikey.
I know, but I don't want to cheat in that. If I had to
and the idea that if I'm hanging out with, if he's my friend, I'm going over to the house, and hey, Mikey, there you are. Hey, Splinter, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool too.
Right. No, what do you guys think about Donnie?
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. Actually, I got to hang out for a brief period of time with Kevin Eastman actually this past week at San Diego Comic-Con. So super nice guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, I highly recommend it. But yeah.
He was my favorite turtle as well. I did play him in the games, the arcade game and Turtles in Time, and also his the figure he had this Slam Dunk and Don figure. And
love it.
He had a Michael Jordan jersey.
Yes, he did.
So I played basketball in my junior and high school years. So I love basketball. So that like sealed the deal for me. When Slam Dunk and Don came out, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Andy, you're up. Finish this mountain off, man. Let's get to the bennies.
I debated. So I have a number one Benjamin that was almost in my George spot, like because the characters are a little similar. Of the reason why I would pick them, so I moved him out because I've talked about him a lot already. My George, I'm going to go, and I've talked about him before. We've definitely mentioned him before on the Rushmore Show, but not as much. I'm going to go with Hey Arnold.
1, 2, 3, watch me. Watch me! Now you think you got to bring me down. Now you think you got to push me all around. But wait! Don't hit me! I'll hit me! To the bridge!
Arnold Philip Shortman is going to be my pick. Now here's why. We want to talk about loyal friend. We want to talk about this dude is going to make the best of every bad situation. We want to talk about he is the most selfless. He's going to put aside his needs, and he is going to help you with what is going on in your life. And it is the most important thing to him. It's hands down going to be Arnold. But also, as a bonus, Arnold's freaking room is the coolest room ever. Like, if you remember watching this show, he was like in an attic. So like being able to go to his house and hang out, you gotta pull down the steps, right? Like you're walking up into an attic. And then in there's like this like his roof is glass, and you can get out onto the roof of there. It's super cool. His bed folds. Like he's just got so many cool things. Plus, if you're gonna say, hey, I get to pick one Ninja Turtle and get to hang out with the rest, dude, all of the friends that are of Arnold's that I get to hang out with, like maybe not Helga Pataki. I don't want to hang out with her as much, but like Gerald, dude, like I get to hang out with him, bro. I get to hang out with all of these friends, and his grandpa, man, is a cool old man. And dude, Arnold is one of my favorite shows of the 90s. Just brings me back to kind of my adolescence and childhood. And we want to talk about a good friend. It doesn't get much better friend than Arnold. So that's my George.
So we've talked about this. You love the Nickelodeon 90s Target.
Orange years are perfect.
The orange years. You love that. That great documentary. But listen, that was my high school years. I'm 44. That same time frame, kind of where you wouldn't watch some of the stuff I was mentioning, is the reason I wouldn't watch this. But I know this very well. And the one thing I'll share is Aaron Brown, the STEM teacher, calling you out again. He's like, Miss Frizzle, and I got to go Hey Arnold probably next. So, bro, he picked those two for sure. And he didn't have any other ones. He was like, I don't know who else. I didn't want to mention it because it might have been out there, but yeah, that's the two he picked. So,
you guys watch any Hey Arnold or know about this?
My kids watch that show, yeah, because my oldest one's 23. So yeah, that kind of I think that show was still.
So we're probably kind of similar, John. I got 24 to 23.
Yeah. So I did watch Hey Arnold. That was one of the ones that I caught back in the day. It was a good cartoon. I always thought that was one that I always enjoyed watching with them.
Robbie, where are you at with Hey Arnold?
I missed the boat on Hey Arnold too.
I'm 30. I'm 34. I'm 34.
I'm in like this different category here where I'm too old to remember that stuff, and I don't have kids to have experienced it as they would have been experiencing it. So I'm still stuck in the 80s and 90s myself. So
I would say this just as a side note, as a bonus here. I've rewatched some of the 90s cartoons that I remember liking, and they don't hold up. I mean, we watch 80s cartoons.
Honestly,
it doesn't hold up well. But I will say
childhood show really doesn't hold up if you don't look at it through a child's lens.
I will say this though: I have rewatched Hey Arnold, and I will still watch it today. It is a fantastic cartoon. I love it.
That's Four Great Mountains. The fact that we really only had one crush, kind of
Bandit Healer,
is quite interesting. But look, we can't have any more crushes from here on out. Which I have a great list. I hope my guys got a great list. It's time for All About the Benjamins. We'll be right back. Guys, it is time for All About the Benjamins. If you haven't been around, Benjamin Franklin was once considered to be the next carving in the Rushmore. It didn't happen, so he's kind of an honorable mention. And we're going to give you our honorable mentions. If you haven't been around, we do it snake draft, and it's the same order as it was, snake draft like you're in fantasy draft, and this is the only stipulation. We cannot crush. So it's quite a bit of a game. You're trying to build your biggest four that is going to be different than all of ours, and we'll see if the fans can pick who had the best Benjamins. So, John, you're up, which means you get first pick, but you also get last pick. So, and then also in this round, we don't really talk about them too much. Just kind of like, yeah, and kind of get upset about who's taking who. John, you're up.
All right, love me some Samuel L. Jackson, so I'm going Frozone from The Incredibles.
Nice. Where is this?
Dang, Andy, I know that was out there for you. I know it.
Coming off the Benjis.
Good pick, John. I know that was just a side note, Samuel L. was on his action heroes. So, Robbie Musso, you are up.
It's hot in New Orleans, so Frozone would be nice.
It would be very nice.
It's hot in Georgia, too.
I'm going to dip my toes back into my other favorite genre, anime, and I'm going to say from Robotech and Macross, I'm going to throw out Roy Fokker, the Skull Leader. So
nice, and this is not what I would say. This is not like a blind spot for me, but I've been so far away from that. I don't know that particular character, but I will throw this. Some of the guys we hang out with, they also do a show called Gundam Watch. And it's very close to Macross and Robotech, but man, you might want to check that out if that's stuff you like. So,
okay, cool.
All right, so I am up, and Andy,
don't do it. Don't take it from me.
I'll let you have him. There's a specific reason I was going to pick him, though. And when you say it, I'll take it. But I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Po from Kung Fu Panda.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Po from Kung Fu Panda. Because I like Jack Black, one, and two, I just love the idea of that character being silly and goofy and being one of the baddest dudes around. So,
my first Benjamin, he was, like I just said, he was fighting with my George because he's a similar character in his personality. And I'm going with Doug Funny. Doug Funny is my Benjamin, hit from Doug. He's just a good guy, man. He's just a really good guy.
I am very glad, but that's not him. You have one more chance to pick the guy I'm talking about.
It's okay. Maybe I'll give it to you. Because my second Benjamin, we've all kind of done, or not all, but like I've done all these like 2D animations, man. Let's go CGI, and I'm going to go with Donkey from Shrek.
Oh, man. So guess what? I have to take him now because that was my next pick. I have to take him now. I am definitely because Donkey, Eddie Murphy, hilarious. I'm going with Woody from Toy Story.
Nice. Good pick. Good pick.
Woody from Toy Story. I can't believe he wasn't on it for you. That's your favorite cartoon ever.
Man, good pick.
Got a snake in your boot.
Yeah, got a snake in my boot. And he's coming.
Yep. Yep. There you go.
Robbie, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to stick in anime here. I'm going to stay in the anime lane, and I'm going to choose Pris from Bubblegum Crisis. She was
Holy cow! I didn't know anybody else still remembered this.
And so she's basically a Blade Runner Iron Man who is also a rock singer like Jim as well. So she has like an alter ego in her band. So she checks quite a few boxes for me. So I would say Pris.
Hey, so let me just throw this out there. Whenever somebody talks about anime, I always bring up Bubblegum Crisis, and most of them look like I have a horn on my head. I'm like, dude, it's this cool like girl pop thing, like whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
The name is so it's so misleading for someone who has no idea what it's about. But yeah, that's like one of probably my top 3 anime favorites for sure.
All right, my second one, I'll also go anime, and I'm going to use another visual aid and go with Mr. Satan from
love that.
Awesome character, and he's a pipeline right into the Saiyan family as Gohan's father-in-law. And then to follow that up, we're coming up on my favorite holiday of the year, Halloween. So I am also going to choose Jack the Skeleton King from
Nice, good pick.
Very
good pick. He was out there. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, he's a good pick. I love that he's toying with Christmas. I love it. All right, Robbie, you're up. Third round.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say this one is a fun one. Inspector Gadget.
It was on my list. It was on my list.
Man.
Good pick.
Look, he's Don Adams, right? So it's like, man, you know, he's a screwball, he's a goofball, but man, he's got an endless bag of tricks. So,
all right, I'm gonna go with one of my favorite, actually, probably my favorite Disney character of all time. I'm going with Baloo from Tailspin, Jungle Book. Love Baloo. All right, so Andy, you got 2, man.
That's 2. Dude, I got so many to pick from. I hate when this happens, when you guys don't all take all of my stuff, and I'm forced into one, so now I gotta pick. This one would be fun, and Kirk, I know you're not a big fan of it because of the genre of the cartoon, but this would be fun because it's just a dude, man. I just want to hang out with a bunch of dudes sometime, and I'm gonna go with Hank Hill.
Hank Hill!
Hank Hill from King of the Hill.
I knew it.
Go with it, man. Because in a roundabout way, I get to hang out with Boomhauer, and I get to hang out with all these guys. So
Boomhauer.
So Hank Hill.
Out of all of the adult cartoons, that's the best. I'm just gonna say. Well, that's my favorite one, I should say.
Yeah,
that's a fun one. Hank Hill's good.
I'm just going to throw this one out there because it's cool, and I don't know if this connects with anybody, but it's my last pick, so I get to throw it out there. This was from another like early 2000s, maybe late 90s Nick cartoon that I really enjoyed, that I have not talked about on this show yet, but from Rocket Power. But I'm going to pick their dad, Raymundo Rocket. Man, great dad. He's a single dad, but he's doing everything he can for his kids. And he owns a restaurant, bro. Like they on the pier out there, you get to go hang out with him and his friend and eat a bunch of good food, and then hang out in California and surf and skate and do all that stuff. But Raymundo Rocket is going to be my final pick. I know it's a kind of a dark horse pick, but you get to do that with the last one.
All right, yeah. So I'm glad this one kind of made it. Kind of worried that you were going to maybe snatch it up because you would probably be the only one on this panel. But I already have Donnie, and I have Phineas. I have to bring in another brain guy, man. I'm going with Jimmy Neutron.
Nice, I thought about it.
Jimmy Neutron. That's a whole lot of getting things together. Kind of like Rick Sanchez, but man, I mean, we're gonna have a lot of fun, right?
You're hanging out with a bunch of nerds, man. What the heck?
Of course, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
That's a good pick, though. That's a great cartoon.
Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Neutron. What a good cartoon. All right, Robbie, your last pick of the day.
Last pick. I'm joining the Turtle Club and my other favorite turtle, and I'm going to go with, you ready? Metalhead.
Metalhead!
Oh,
good pick!
Yeah.
Little Transformers meets Ninja.
Yeah, because really, I'm a huge Transformers fan, obviously, but I am a huge Ninja Turtles fan. So Ninja Turtles was the next thing.
I love how Leo never gets any response.
I like Leo too, but I mean, give up. Robot Ninja Turtle. I mean,
It's like picking vanilla.
it's low hanging fruit, but I'll go with it.
He's like mediocre. I love that word.
Vanilla ice cream. Nothing wrong with it, but when I have mint chocolate chip and I've got all of these other choices, why am I going to vanilla?
Well, vanilla is the joy.
Kirk, I know you go to it, but vanilla is like the android of ice cream.
My MacBook.
Why you?
Robbie, I was not shocked that you have an Android. I love it. Hey, so John, where you at? Last one. So we call, Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. This is, he's the last pick of the draft, but he still might make the cut.
Every other cartoon in the history of ever, this is the one other person we're going to know. The last one.
Yep. That's true, and I feel we should all be slightly ashamed that there's been 0 Looney Tunes representation on here. So I am going to put out the Looney Tunes, and we're going to go for the earth-shattering kaboom and go with Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian!
Good choice. Good pick.
I tried to have Marvin so maybe this is a core memory I'm trying to unlock, but maybe it's one of those kind of like what we said that Sinbad wasn't a genie, one of those things. Right. But I remember in the Looney Tunes cartoon, Marvin singing opera. But I couldn't find it. I found them other singing opera. And I was like, okay, maybe it was that. But I tried, dude, I was chasing Marvin down a hole for about 40 minutes, like 3 episodes ago. Trying to find this clip, but I never found it. But I love Marvin the Martian. I used to have him actually on the back of my truck.
Nice. Yeah, there's Bugs with Bugs had the Viking helmet on, did the opera, remember?
Right, that's what I ended up using.
Yeah, Marvin had the little the aliens, that would come out of the little like pills or whatever up there on this little platform. I love that character. He's like a cooler version of Wile E. Coyote. He can never quite.
I thought you were going to go a different route. There are plenty of Looney Tunes on my list that are left. I'm going to have to put them down in the comments and put them out there. I didn't mention this, Andy. I picked Woody because I love woodworking, so I was going to kind of go and connect the two. But anyways, hey, that's our show for today. But look, hey, it has been an amazing run. Back to the School has just started. Nostalgia Month. Thank you, Robbie and John, for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Where can they find you, find your books, find your artistry? Where can they support you the best? John, go first. Give me some of the places they can go and do and help you out with what you're doing.
Yeah, man, sure. The to keep up with the comic work on Facebook and Instagram, you can find me at Endangered Comic. It's like endangered species, but it just endangered comic. And then real quickly, man, me and my partner, who's my financial backer on all the comic projects, he and I are actually building an app and a website to help writers create. And that we'll be kicking that off probably in September. But there's an Instagram page for that right now. It's going to be called Panels and Pages. So if you're interested in writing and want to kind of join a community of people to write stories with, Panels and Pages app is the.
I might have to be the first customer of this situation because I've got 14 years I need to get off my back.
I'm really excited about that one, and hopefully it's going to really do a lot to help kind of revolutionize and support people out there who are kind of creating without a whole team behind them to help them make their books. So those are the best places to find me. And
I love that. And where can they buy your new book?
At comic shops around the country, man. The comic book trivia book Robbie and I have coming out together, that will be out August 30th. It'll be all around the world, really, but it'll be in comic shops in every state in the country, man. You should be able to find one. And then same with the rest of the books that are coming out. Just keeping it. I'll regularly announce stuff on those social media platforms there when they're coming out and the release dates and all that. But yeah, if you want to check them out, it's obviously always appreciated. So then my book, you can find it on Amazon.
Sweet. Robbie, how about you? Where can they find you?
Yeah,
how can they support you?
Find me on Instagram and Facebook. Just Robbie Musso. That's Robbie with a Y, not I-E. And Musso, M-U-S-S-O. And I'm working on my book right now. It's called I'm actually calling it Divine Circuits, which is actually just the English translation of the original name I was giving it. But you can find that on Instagram as well.
Let me just say this. You're welcome to come back. It don't have to be about cartoons or comics. You can come back. We do all kinds of things. That's a good segue to where we're going. Let me just share what we're going to do for the rest of the month. We got 3 more months. We've got cartoon theme songs with Cellcaster, a cartoon podcast with Jacob and Drew. Go check those guys out. They are kind of hanging out with some of the guys we always talk with. They've been on the show, which is Retro Rewind, Geek Devotions, all those guys. This is one of the last guys to come join us. They also are with the Playing Games with Strangers. Also, we have Jason Nupp from New Age Revolution coming back. He's on the episode that happened last week. And if you go check him out, which was Wrestling Championship Belts with Pac-Man Case. But he's going to come back and do commercials. And then we're going to finish off the month with Nerd Swap. The first time we're going to have actually 3 guest hosts. So it'll be 5 on the panel. And we're going to do things that remind us of our childhood. Nerd Swap is also a group in the Louisiana area that we met at St. Tammany Collectors Con. And they swap video games and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be on. And then we're going to do football come September, October's TV, November's food, and December, finishing off the year with Christmas. And remember this, guys, next year, we're starting it off with 2 months per topic. So we're going to go to 6 topics alone. And so if you miss video games, it's coming back in January. We'll be doing that again. Robbie and John, you're welcome to come join us in any of those episodes again if you'd ever want to be a part.
Fun.
If you're ever doing something online that you need some help from us, we would love to join in with whatever you guys are doing. We obviously will see you guys soon. So, hey, Andy, why don't you tell them about this really quickly?
We are so excited. We share it every week, but we're just so excited about it. It's coming right around the corner. September 9th, we will be hanging out with Davey Lusko and our friends over at the Louisiana Retro Con. That is going to be a great time. It's a 1-day convention. I got some other podcasts that are going to be there too. We're going to be hanging out, networking, going around and doing interviews, asking people what their top 4 random things are, just having a blast. I'm probably going to try to buy a bunch of more Nintendo 64 games because I have a problem.
Nice.
And that's just
yes.
But yeah, so it's going to be a blast. So we're doing that. Then we got the next month we're going to be back at St. Tammany Collectors Con for their fall edition of that. We got a couple other conventions that are on the horizon.
Post-con, maybe with Nerd Swap. They're asking us to come and hang out with them if we can make things work with what they're doing. Maybe show up over there as well. So that's 4 things. Hopefully we see Robbie and John at St. Tammany Collectors Con again, or maybe even some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I'll be at both.
That we're being a part of.
Yeah, I'll be at both. And
nice. They're going to be at both. So
we also have I have MightyCon. It's the NOLA Comic Con. That's coming up. I think it's August 12th. I think it's like I think August 12th.
Oh, so right around the corner. Go check Robbie out there. Man,
and then I'll be in New Jersey for BotCon on August 25th through 27th. So that's like the
celebrating my birthday out there in Jersey.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be fun.
Nice, awesome. Well, dude, it has been a blast today. Thank you guys again for joining us and just having a great conversation. Wanting to hang out with cartoon characters, man. It's just been a blast.
It's a lot of fun, man.
Fun.
You guys having us
thanks for having us on, man. It's been a real great time.
Look forward to doing it again.
Andy, tell our friends good night. How do we end this thing?
Let's end it just the way that we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4.
Top 4
and nothing
more.
Peace.